Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pokes on Relationships. By 2050, it is said that half of the world is going to be in a state of dramatic population decline. And it is no surprise that the countries that are leading in this race were countries that were technologically advanced and in front of the cutting edge technology with things like humanoid robots. So I wonder, could humanoid robots and fast technological advancement have a very parallel or even a direct correlation to population decline? I came across a video and I wanted to share it with you. And I want you to tell me, which one do you think is fiction and which one do you think is the real world? Have a listen.
This is the world's first realistic female robot assistant.
I'm the first personal assistant built by CyberLife. I take care of most everyday tasks like cooking, housework, or managing your appointments, for example.
I understand you're the first android to have passed the Turing test. Could you tell us a little more about that?
I really didn't do much, I just spoke with a few humans to see if they could tell the difference between me and a real person. It was a really interesting experience.
Wow. Okay, now I'm going to play another one. And I would really love you to let me know which one. It's actually really fascinating. Which one you think is actually the fiction one. Okay, let's watch.
Watch the skin tone shift when I press here.
It's way too real.
See the micro expressions?
Servo driven.
No
How's
pre-programmed
that even
smile.
a robot? There's no way. Look at her.
I know, you guys. You can even hear the people in the video saying that there is no way that that could actually be a robot. Now, here's the thing. I wanted to read some of these statistics to you. Because while we are facing a very real situation of population decline, I wonder why humanoid robots are actually being considered as the solution to this. And also, not just humanoid robots that are going to assist you with tasks and all of that stuff, but it's also humanoid robots specifically designed for companionship. So before I go on, I wanted to read a couple of statistics to you, and I'm going to be just sharing some stuff from my notes, so bear with me. So firstly, it says that United States is fast, at least within the next 5 to 10 years, going to have probably reached population decline would have reduced to the extent of even possibly below replacement level. And North Korea, South Korea, Japan have all very aging populations and are experiencing significant workforce shrinkages. And what's pretty interesting is that right now in Japan, adults' diapers are actually selling out more than baby diapers. South Korea is having a huge population decline in terms of there being more adults than there are babies. Majority of Europe, a lot of Europe right now are having villages that are literally emptying out. And so on the one hand, the solution is, okay, well, why don't we actually have humanoid robots that are going to assist with elderly care? Or why don't we have humanoid robots that are going to be able to take care of your children? And so there is a push of robots being more and more in the labor market. But then I do have this question. That might be a very efficient way to say you're going to deal with the labor shortages. But then what if there's now a saturation of robots and AI within the labor markets, further reducing wages? And if people are frustrated and they're not getting work and then they don't have wages, then how are they going to come together and be able to afford children? So even though we love to celebrate cutting edge technology, what does this mean for not just the workforce, but what does this mean for just humanity and the population and relationships as a whole? Further, I also wanted to speak about the fact that social media, we know, has already started impacting our relationships and the way we connect in a very real way. Now, with the increase of social media usage within our homes and a very integral part of our societies, there was also an increase in loneliness and an increase with people reverting to their phones as opposed to choosing social spaces where they could go out and meet people. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, we're finding that to solve that problem, outside of applications being created for dating apps, now we are actually having robots. Companies completely dedicated to creating human robots that are supposed to simulate a real relationship. Now, we've seen that societies, especially even, for example, with China, which used to have one of the largest populations in the world, have said to have been reducing and stopped growing about 60 years ago. Yet we're celebrating it as a country that is supposed to be the most technologically advanced country. But what are the costs and what is the trade-off, and is it a worthwhile trade-off? I wonder if this is partly why there's such a push for a human military, because if you're not very strong and you don't have numbers in terms of your population, I can understand that the real concern of what you're going to do if you're ever faced with an aggressor, what are you going to do? You don't have enough people to go and protect the country. And so with all of these things that we're celebrating advancement, we're celebrating robotics, there's also the very real downside to it, which is what happens to humans. What about human beings and what about human relationships? And so, for example, we have another video that I wanted to share with you, which I thought was pretty interesting. And right now, this robot is going for a pretty penny, $175,000 US. And we also know that with the Optimus robots, which there's definitely a push to get out at least 1 million. And then the whole idea is that everybody should own a robot. And I've said before, this is no longer far-fetched for me. We all own phones, and previously it used to be a weird idea and now it's reality. What are we going to do in a world with robots? What's going to happen to relationships if people prefer a perfect validating robot over a human relationship? And I wanted to show you this. I thought it was pretty interesting. This is a robot that is presently and currently available in the United States, albeit a very astronomical amount. But we know how it goes, a very expensive prototype, and then over time you produce enough of it, and then after you produce and produce and produce, the cost of production goes down, and before you know it, it becomes affordable to the masses. But look at what this robot can do. Look at that.
Put it on.
And so there you have it. We have robots, and the whole idea is supposed to for it to be solving the labor issues within the countries. But is that really the issue? Is it really the issue for people to have robots to make things more efficient so that the economy can be more robust? I thought that people make economies robust. But now the push is to have more AI, more robotics to make work and the labor force more efficient. And honestly, I think that's a really pretty brilliant idea. And I guess it's just going to have to force us human beings to dig deep and perhaps start doing other things that we would be more passionate about, that if we wouldn't be able to do if we were probably stuck in a job that now an AI robot is doing for us. Perhaps we'll reach for each other again. And when that happens, are we in a state as humanity in a position to be able to have healthy, strong relationships? Because we always see that societies that have strong relationships, strong family structures thrive. And I'm just concerned. While I'm excited about tech, definitely I am. I'm excited about just robots and just what it can do. It can really do pretty phenomenal things. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would much rather prefer a robot to clean up their house than to have a random stranger in their homes. But then again, and I always circle back to this, what does it mean for privacy? What does it mean for human connection? What does it mean for human relationships and ultimately for the human race? Because if we have enough countries experiencing a very serious case of population decline, then what does that mean? What does that look like? And then what are you going to do? What are your children going to do? Who are your children going to marry? I have all these questions. I don't have the answers, but I would be very interested to find out what you think. What do you think about this humanoid push in society? I know that some are very excited to get the robot. To be honest, I wouldn't say I'm elated and excited, but I'd like to get my hands on one just to really understand the rationale and the thinking and the purpose of this robot. While others are very skeptical, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Thank you so much for joining me again on this video. And as we continue to poke questions and ask more questions about just the world at large and what it means for our relationship and for your life. Until next time,